All right. I'm drinking cold brew straight from the bottle because I have been playing Outriders pretty much nonstop since I got early access to it about a day ago now, and I don't know how many hours I've put in. I can check, but it's been a good amount. I'd say at least 15 at this point, maybe more. And I was up pretty late playing it last night, and I'm kind of a little bit ahead of most people since the actual launch was today. And that's when everyone really got their hands on it. At this point, the Steam version just came out a couple hours ago. I am playing on Xbox Series X, as you can see behind me. I am going to play on Steam. There appears to be some kind of stuttering issues on PC right now, and I have my demo progress there, and I'm going to try and use that to capture footage because I'm not good at capturing console footage, so I can have some stuff to accompany these videos in the future. For now, I'm sticking to Xbox, and I realized that getting a character to endgame is no joke. It's going to be a lengthy process, and that's kind of how I wanted to kick off the topic of this video, which is kind of a pros con list, things I like or don't like about Outriders so far. Fairly deep into the campaign at this point, short of the end game, but it's enough to get kind of a sense of what I like and don't like. In addition to obviously playing, some aspects of it from the demo and being able to see how that translates into the full game. First and foremost, I think the reason that everyone in this genre will be kind of into this game is because of the action-oriented gameplay. There's a lot of games that purport to be Diablo with guns, but this is probably the most Diablo with guns feeling game I've seen. For everything from the level design to the loot to how combat feels and how you are rewarded for action instead of caution most of the time. All of it just results in a gameplay experience that is very fun because you're constantly moving around, you're constantly spamming skills. Skills have very low cooldowns. This isn't like Borderlands or something, or Destiny, where you have to save up for minutes at a time to use your super once every so often, or your ultimate move or whatever it is. There are no skills like that really, and cooldowns are already low, and then once you get to the end game, you can lower cooldowns to almost an absurd degree on some of these skills and use them nonstop. This is interspersed with gunplay, and there are many, many gun mods where you can layer those on top of each other for effects that are almost like skills, like killing enemies. I'm getting mostly epic gear now. I am on kind of auto delete blues at this point. I'm at about level 25, and those perks are starting to be really interesting. Like you'll kill an enemy and it will scatter mines all around them, which is great for those creepy crawlers that will mob you, but you can kill one, blows up the whole AoE, and it's a lot of fun. So you're constantly finding new things like that, and then you can mod that gear as you pull those mods out of lower tier gear and then put them in new gear. And as I said in my tips article earlier today, I recommend you do that a lot. It's pretty cheap to do for lower quality gear, so you might as well just keep the mods going to enhance your skills and your kind of using your favorite gun perks. A couple of them just seem dramatically overpowered compared to others. I think they went a bit far with the shotgun nerf, especially auto shotguns feel really weak when they were the strongest weapons in the beta or demo. But I'd say burst assault rifles feel really strong, weirdly so. And then there's one perk I found that's literally just heal yourself for 450 damage after every kill, which is half my life as an assault focused trickster. So some of the perks are just extremely strong, and that's not good against bosses per se. So it's a little bit of a trade-off. So you're kind of gearing yourself up to take on different enemies in different ways, depending on what the situation calls for. So that is one aspect that I think is good. I put that in the good camp. But as far as I have continued with the campaign, one thing is starting to stand out to me, and that is kind of the overall structure of the game, at least in the campaign form, and the repetitiveness of both kind of level design and encounter design. The levels don't look really samey, perhaps there are definitely enough diverse biomes where this doesn't feel like a copy and paste situation. That's not really the issue here. And now I've gotten some pretty cool areas, and like the latest areas I've gotten to, I can't even say what they are because they're just even describing them loosely would be spoilers. So I'll hold off on that. But it's not really the environmental design. It's that the fact that like every level is kind of three flags, and then these instanced hallways that branch off from each other. Like there is probably no zone that is bigger than like half a section of a patrol area in Destiny in term before you have to like load into another instance. And that has not changed. Like that we saw that in the demo, but that is the case for I'd say at least 10 different zones now. Like they keep adding more, and every time you get to a new zone, it's pretty much the same thing. It's almost always the same size, with just a couple rally points and then branching pathways to find quests. And then the other issue is kind of encounter design is very samey too. And while combat is fun, there are no mechanics in this game, like pretty much none. The exceptions to that are a couple boss fights where you have to dodge the big glowing, red circle on the ground or the red line on the ground if they're, charging up for an attack or something. And some of the mini bosses do that too. But I mean, like there are no mechanics other than just like kill everything in this area. And it reminds me a lot of Uncharted in that way, where like you're just going from kind of area to area and like you're working kind of tactically, like how to take on a given area to clear it out and make sure you get the checkpoint to save for the next one, because you can get through some of these are really long, where like you can get through a boss encounter that spawns like 40 ads or something, and if you die on like ad 38, you do the whole thing over again. And like you can kill the boss, and if there's still ads mobbing you and they kill you, it doesn't matter. Like you can't just boss rush. You have to kind of maneuver your way around these areas to kill things. But every encounter is like there's pretty much two encounters. There are beast encounters and there are human, some kind of gang encounters. So like whether it's enemy soldiers or enemy criminals or whatever, like they are all fundamentally the same. And there's only a very few types of enemies. There's just assault soldiers. There are melee rushers, there are shotgun guys, and there are snipers, and there are captains. And it's like, or something captain-ish, with a couple mini boss variants in there, but few and far between. And no matter the faction of enemies, they might be different names, but they're all the same thing. And the difference is, it's like in a game like Diablo, where the action is repetitive and the zones are kind of constrained and they're not terribly exciting. They're just kind of they're just kind of combat arenas. Diablo has just loads and loads and loads and loads of different types of enemies, and then that's just not really the case here. It's constantly split between just beast enemies only, or just human enemies that are all very similar. And there's like a weird disparity. I'd say the beast enemies are much easier because they can't shoot you. Like there are, I think, a scarce handful of like dragonfly type enemies and poison spewing enemies that can like shoot you with things, but there are not many of them, and it's mostly just getting kind of mobbed by melee things or very large melee things. Those are really the only two types. Whereas human enemies are a lot harder. So like I might be on one world tier for like a legendary hunt of some epic beast, but I cannot beat a similarly leveled, assassination mission of a certain captain, because like you can be eons away and you will just get ticked down, moving anywhere by enemies, unless you are like really kind of either going really fast and just blowing through everyone by killing everyone so fast, or like being very strategic with more distance play. And the difficulty is it's all over the place. Like I think it's in a good spot because I don't think it's a problem that you every so often you knock the world tier down a bit to better take on a certain challenge. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and you actually kind of lose progress if you don't do that. If you're at a section where you die like 50 times on one world tier, it will decrease your world tier XP to tell you like you are not ready for this. So you can power through if you want, but there's no shame in kind of lowering your world tier until you gear up a little more, increase your level, things like that. But I do. Hello, you hanging? Okay. I do think that encounter design is pretty repetitive, and with kind of limited movement options, like you can't slide, you can't jump. there are movement options in terms of like if you give yourself a teleportation skill as one of your 3 skills, but other than that, it's pretty basic and it's just cover mechanics, and that's really it. And that doesn't feel great, it doesn't really, the encounters don't really feel dynamic because of that in a lot of ways, and 10 zones in here, I still feel like I'm kind of seeing different versions of the same thing over and over again. Back to things I like, I think the leveling and loot curve is really good for the campaign. Certain games struggle with this a lot. Avengers can release a new hero, and even with alleged XP nerfs, you can get a new hero from 1 to 50 in 4 hours, 3 hours, something absurdly fast, whereas I've put in, 15, approaching, 16, 17, 18 hours by the end of the day, I'm sure. And I'm at level 25, and like it's really starting to crawl now. Like it takes a long time to get from one level to another, and that's really only made accomplished by completing quests. Like you can kill enemies, and you retain that XP if you die, but compared to actually completing a quest, it takes a lot longer. So I think the curve is good. It's going to take a long time to level up all 4 heroes and get them all to endgame, which I think is good. I do not think that People Can Fly was lying about the campaign length. I think it is pretty hefty. I know people have reached the end of the campaign already, but either they have skipped a whole lot of side quests, or they have lowered the world tier so they can just blow through everything and they never die. Like there is no way that like you can beat this campaign in like a day unless you were A, playing for just 24 hours straight, or like B, have skipped a lot of things along the way. Whereas I'm talking to other people, I'm doing all the side quests as I go, so it is definitely looking like it'll probably be at least 25 to 30 hours. I don't know if it'll get to a full 40 before endgame for one character. And there are no real shortcuts to do this. On other characters, you can skip the prologue, but that's about it. And that, to me, that's fine, given that this is kind of a game with a hard ending, whereas we're not about to launch into like Outriders Season 1 through 4. I think that's okay, and it's okay that it takes that long. It's just something I haven't really seen for a while, because if we're talking about power gains, it's either like crazy fast stuff like Avengers, or it can be kind of frustrating stuff like, trying to get 10 more power in Destiny from Pinnacle drops and things like that. So I think they've done a good job with that. I think they've done a good job with the pace at which you get loot and replace your old gear, while still being able to retain builds as you go and not feel like you have to wait entirely till the end game to really make a build. I think they do a great job of allowing you to make builds as you go along the way here, even if I've gotten 1 legendary this entire time yet. So that's still something that will open up. Evie, are you like, who are you talking to? You never really understand. What do you think of Outriders? Have you enjoyed it sitting on the couch while I've been playing it this whole time? I think she's enjoyed it. And then I guess I'll end on a tiny bit of a down note, where one thing that is getting worse as time goes on is something to do with the mission pathing, where you can like hit up on the D-pad to kind of guide you to the next mission. But this has gotten so broken in so many of the zones I've played now, where it will path you to one of the instance doors that is just a dead end, and you can't go there, and that's actually not the right place you're supposed to go. Like where you're supposed to go might be through that way, but in reality you have to like walk around manually and find where the quest actually starts to do it. And then some of these quests, like it'll show like, okay, there is a quest in this area, and then you launch into that area and it's not there, and you have to kind of wander around the entire zone until maybe you find the exact exclamation point where it is, and there's no way to track that exclamation point. And also the map doesn't tell you your exact location. Like it doesn't show you on the map, it just shows the zone you're in. And so when I'm walking, I have no idea which direction I'm facing. I have no idea where I am on the map in relation to the quest I'm trying to find. It is weirdly confusing. These are such small linear levels. I wouldn't think it would be hard to like do a normal map, including like a you are here indicator of where you are on the map. So I don't really understand that, and the longer I play, the worse this is kind of getting, and it can take me 5 to 10 minutes to even find the next quest based on how often this keeps happening, or the next objective. I was just in a zone where it pathed me to the wrong doorway on every single quest and every single quest step in one of the later zones here. And like, I don't understand what's going on there. So hopefully that's something they can fix. I do not know what's going on with the PC issues. I know people had problems with that. I saw Bife like literally can't even boot up the game because he had so many problems. He installed it on multiple drives. So PC seems like it's a little rougher. It's been fine on Series X. I think I've had 2 crashes ever, which in 15 hours is not terrible for a brand new release, so that's fine. There's a lot more to say, but I won't make this a 30-minute video. I'll stop it there for now and head back to playing, and we'll see how things shake out. And hopefully I can start getting more legendary drops, and I expect to make it to the actual end game in the next couple of days here, at least with my first character, and then I have to start all the way over for my next ones. And that's to say nothing of trying to play it on PC, but I might hold off on that for a little bit if there's all these different PC issues that are going on. So that's what I think of it so far. Let me know what your initial first few hours have felt like for you, if you're just starting to play today. Or if you're skipping it, let me know.